They say history remembers the victors, but it forgets the soldiers, the ones who bled quietly, who fought in shadows, and who came home not to applause but to silence. He was one of them, a nameless warrior once driven by purpose, now lost in the echoes of yesterday's battles. His armor still bears the scars, but the world no longer looks his way. And maybe that's how you feel too. You gave everything once, to a dream, to a person, to a fight you thought mattered. You sacrificed sleep, peace, and maybe even your identity. But now it's quiet. Too quiet. No one remembers what you've done. No one claps for you anymore. And in that silence, you start to wonder, was it all worth it? The forgotten soldier sits in that silence. He looks at his hands, calloused, shaking, scarred, but he doesn't cry. He simply breathes. Slowly. Because somewhere deep within, he knows that silence isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's the space between who he was and who he's becoming. In every war, physical or emotional, the first casualty is certainty. The second is identity. And yet, the strongest thing a human can ever do is rebuild both. Psychologists say that when people experience loss or defeat, the brain's reward system collapses. Motivation drops. Dopamine fades. Even simple tasks feel impossible. But here's the twist. In those moments, your brain becomes the most alive. It's rewiring, reshaping, waiting for your next command. That's what rebirth looks like. The forgotten soldier isn't broken. He's simply being rebuilt in silence. The world may not see him rise again, but deep inside, a storm is building. He remembers the weight of the sword, the rhythm of breathing in combat, the discipline that once made him unstoppable, and quietly, without noise, without validation, he begins again. Because greatness never announces itself. It doesn't shout. It doesn't post. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It's reborn in silence, in discipline, in the early mornings where no one watches. Every empire you admire, every champion you quote, every name that echoes through time, they all went through this phase, the forgotten phase, the silent grind, the unseen struggle. Did you know that more than 80% of people quit their goals within the first 60 days? Not because they lack talent, but because silence scares them. They can't handle being unseen. They crave the applause. But the forgotten soldier doesn't chase noise. He builds endurance in the quiet. He knows that every second spent alone is crafting something invisible. Strength, focus, clarity. And when the world finally looks his way again, they won't see a man who was forgotten. They'll see a man who remembered himself. There's a kind of power that only silence can teach. When you stop explaining yourself, stop proving yourself, stop chasing approval, something changes. You start hearing your own voice again. You start feeling your own rhythm again. You begin to see that the world's recognition was never the goal. The goal was transformation. The battle was never outside. It was always within. The forgotten soldier understands this now. His enemies aren't armies, they're doubts. His victories aren't medals, they're moments of self-mastery. And as the sun rises over the empty battlefield, he stands, not as who he was, but as who he has become. Still, calm, unshaken. And in that stillness, you realize something. You are that soldier. The world may have forgotten your name, your effort, your struggle, but that doesn't mean you are lost. You are still breathing, still fighting, still capable of rebuilding everything that once broke you. The silence you fear is the forge that shapes you. The loneliness you hate is the training ground for your next chapter. This is not the end. This is the rebirth. And like the forgotten soldier, you too will rise. Not with noise, not with pride, but with silent strength that no one can take away. Days turn into weeks, and the silence that once felt heavy begins to feel like peace. The forgotten soldier starts to move differently now. His steps are slower, steadier, more deliberate. He no longer rushes toward battles that don't belong to him. He no longer seeks validation from crowds that never saw his scars. Every sunrise becomes training, every breath a form of discipline. He sharpens his mind like a blade, not to fight others, but to fight the weakness within. People still pass him by without notice. They see a quiet man and assume he's done, defeated, forgotten. But inside, a new war has begun, not against enemies, but against excuses, against fear, against the part of him that still whispers, "You can't." He doesn't answer that voice anymore. He simply works, studies, learns, trains. He builds his life like a fortress brick by brick, day after day, until one morning he looks in the mirror and sees someone unrecognizable. The same man, but rebuilt. Stronger not because he avoided pain, but because he walked straight through it. That's the secret no one teaches. Your silence is your strength. Your suffering is your teacher. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are evidence that you survived what others couldn't. Researchers at Harvard once found that resilience, not talent, is the single greatest predictor of long-term success. Not intelligence, not connections, but the ability to recover and adapt. The forgotten soldier lives that truth. He doesn't speak much anymore. He doesn't announce his plans or chase attention. He just keeps showing up, one step at a time. And something begins to happen. The same world that once ignored him starts to notice again, but this time he doesn't need them to. He's not fighting for applause anymore. He's fighting for purpose. Every rejection, every failure, every heartbreak, it all starts to make sense now. Those moments didn't break him. They built him. They stripped away everything unnecessary until only strength remained. The kind of strength you can't buy, can't fake, can't lose. It's not loud, it's not shiny, it's quiet, calm, unstoppable. And maybe that's what you need to remember too. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Life isn't punishing you, it's training you. The silence you hate is shaping your focus. The stillness you fear is sharpening your mind. Every moment you spend in doubt is a moment that can be transformed into power if you stay consistent. Remember this: lions don't roar all the time. Oceans don't make noise to prove their depth. True power doesn't perform. It simply exists. The forgotten soldier walks again now, not toward war, but toward peace. His sword no longer drips with rage, but reflects light. His scars no longer ache. They remind him of where he's been and how far he's come. He finally understands that strength was never about domination or recognition. It was about endurance, about rising again after every fall, about standing firm when no one stands with you. Somewhere out there, another lost soul is watching him, wondering how he survived. And without saying a word, the forgotten soldier becomes a symbol, a reminder that you can rebuild yourself in silence and return stronger than ever, that you can walk through fire and come out pure, that you can lose everything and still win your peace. And as he disappears into the horizon, he leaves behind no fame, no fortune, no applause, only a truth carved into the wind. Sometimes being forgotten by the world is how you remember who you really are, because silence is not the absence of strength. It is strength, contained. So if you are tired, if you feel invisible, if you've been fighting battles no one will ever see, take heart. You are not done. You are in the making. The world may have forgotten your name, but destiny hasn't. And when the time comes, you will rise, not to prove anything, but to become everything you were meant to be. The story of the forgotten soldier doesn't end in defeat. It ends in peace. And that peace is the loudest victory of all.